Daddies, welcome back to the Bad Dadvice podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Physical Education, Jacksonville's best facility for personalized strength and conditioning programs. Over at PE Gym, their personal trainers work to improve your overall strength, mobility, speed, and explosiveness with tailored workouts to make sure every client gets the exact training they need to reach their goals. Visit www.phys-ed-jax.com for more details and to book your first appointment today. That was way better than yours.
Well done. Well done.
I gave you a note.
I read it.
I gave you a note.
I know. I'm cheating the system.
After tonight, we need to hit the gym.
Oh God, man! I drank so many beers tonight. I don't even think I can go to the gym for a week. I'll be so hungover tomorrow.
I definitely thought about working out the other day.
Yeah, I thought about it. And then I ate mellow mushroom tonight.
When I had 10 slices of pizza.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you saw the episode we just dropped, we dropped it a little bit earlier, doing our kind of pre-fantasy football draft, kind of what strategies, who we liked, who we didn't like. Today, what we're going to talk about is we just finished our draft, so we're going to recap, talk about who we got, what our strategies were, what worked, what didn't. Do we like our teams? Do we not like our teams? Do we think we're going to win? Do we think we just wasted $100? We're gonna talk about all that tonight. So let's get this party started. So, what do you guys think? You guys, first of all, did you enjoy the draft?
It's the best day. It's the best day of the year.
It's like Christmas.
It's better than Christmas.
It's better than Christmas. It's better than the entire fantasy season to me. I tell my wife, I tell Janie every time, I'm like, look, we're out $100. I have about. I mean, you guys heard on the last episode. I'm pretty much a lock to finish in 10th place. I finished 11th last year, a little even worse. But I tell Janie, I'm like, we're out $100, but it's for just today. Like $100, it's worth $100 to just do this today. Like I love the fantasy football draft. I love everything about it.
Winning's just a bonus.
There were eight.
Right.
There were 8 of the 12 people in our league in this room about an hour ago, wrapping up the draft. And just for all those out there that are like, "Oh my god, another fantasy football episode!" This is the last of the fantasy football 2-part episode or 2-part series. We'll be back to the great Dadvice that we normally give next week. But yeah, this draft was, I think, surprisingly overvaluing receiver and undervaluing running back. And when we take a look at where some of these guys went and how some of these teams were built, we'll see some interesting mid-draft strategy moves. We'll revisit hopefully some of the predictions that we made last episode and see how those panned out, and then I guess end up just comparing our teams to see
Who's gonna win?
How bad
it was a ball buster of a draft.
How bad somebody else's team is.
What should we do here?
I think my team's legit. First of all.
It's not. I mean, it's terrible. It's definitely bad.
But it's not 11th
atrocious.
Place bad.
It's
a borderline playoff.
You
contender.
might sneak in a win.
It's a borderline playoff contender.
And you're on track for 3-4 wins. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
all I'm gonna say is if the theory goes true of look good, feel good, play good, then I will be the champion this year.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second?
You think you look good?
I was just gonna ignore the way that he's dressed.
No, I want to talk about it.
I'm just gonna ignore it the whole time.
So we were all, first of all, you got here the draft was at 7:30. You got here at 4:00, same time I got here. We swam in the pool. So we were in swim trunks. And now I don't even know, you're like a mix of Jackie Moon and I don't even know. Liam Hemsworth and a horse jockey. I don't even know what you're going for here.
Like a Jonah Hill haircut going on.
I came to win, and for those that are listening, this is just another incentive to come over to the YouTube page, because all I got to say is I look good.
You're talking very close to the mic.
Yeah, dude, you're getting all sexual.
Can you get out of my ear?
Did you not get enough pizza? Because you're so close, you're trying to eat the microphone.
I look.
You had to make sure you can still fit in those pants.
We had 4 large pizzas here, bro. I think you ate enough. Back away from the microphone a little bit.
Listen. Says the guy that before the podcast just was shoving chicken bones down his throat.
Yeah, because I only had 2 slices of pizza.
Yeah, it was. Yes, there wasn't enough food. 4 pizzas and 40 wings for 8 people is not enough.
It was a great start to the night. So what I want to talk about is So let's start with things that we talked about in the last podcast. Is there anything that we were totally in on that worked, or things went totally sideways? Or Abs, do you want to start off with this?
I'll kickstart it. If you've watched the last episode, I will admit right this second that you guys get to tar and feather me. I did not get Travis Kelce.
But you did get a tight
But you
end.
did
And
get
I
a tight
did
end.
not get 2 tight ends for $1 each.
And you did draft tight ends.
I drafted a tight end. I got tight ends. I have 2 tight ends on my roster. I paid for Darren Waller, who I do think that Darren Waller is going to be a great tight end this year.
Why did you take Darren Waller?
Well, I'll get into that further when I talk about my whole entire strategy. But
Price enforcement.
But I did end up. No, it was not price enforcement. I actually had to kind of flip the script a little bit and go for Darren Waller. But I do actually think that Darren Waller is going to be the tight end one this year. I believe that.
All I know is
Okay, 12th place.
all I know is you made
Okay, 12th place.
multiple promises, none of which were kept. It's what else is new? Can we go through and let's just jump right into how this draft went and start with can we go to picks and switch over and check out how the nominations and what this draft kind of I don't know the best
How it
word
unrolled?
for it. The flow of the draft. And for
Okay.
those that are listening and not watching on YouTube, we'll try to keep it as entertaining as possible and keep you up to date on what
the
we're
one
looking
thing
at.
to know is wide receivers were so goddamn expensive.
They were expensive. So we start off the draft and we go Aaron Rodgers up front. That's a very much a Hard Knocks nomination. Goes for 22 to
Wait. Let's talk about our team names first, so we talk about team names here for a second, just to make sure that everybody knows who we're talking about when we get guys. So if let's just go around the room real quick. My team name is the Tides. The meaning behind that is I finish in like 10th or 11th place every year, but the tides are a changing. And I think I'm going to be finishing in the top 3 this year.
Okay, tight end boy.
Passing it on.
my team name is Purdy Good because my team is Purdy Good.
I am Dolchich and Gabbana, which matches
That's a good one.
my classy attire today. Because I also have I got Greg Dolchich, who I think is going to be
Tight end one.
Can't be tight end 1 because that's Waller.
phenomenal value.
Tight end 2 at best.
This guy, if you're watching on YouTube, you know I know value, and I went for the value. I got the value. That's it.
Yeah, and my team name is Slant Boy for $10 because that's what I do. Is I buy Michael Thomas for $10.
It was actually unbelievable because his name was that before the draft, and then he went through an entire round of bidding, and he bought Slant Boy for $10.
Slant Boy for
I
$10.
bet him. I bet him
Michael
up to 9.
Thomas, Slant Boy for $10.
I bet him up to 9 just to see if you'd hold true to the name.
And he did. He did. You got to give him credit.
I don't
mad
lie.
respect.
I don't lie.
Mad respect. I do.
So I'll
Fuck
start
it.
since the first thing on there is mine. Aaron Rodgers. My strategy was definitely not to get Aaron Rodgers, but I again went. My strategy was to get 2 guys that were big money guys, and then just find value anywhere I could. Which you'll see that later in the draft. Hence my 5 running backs. But with the values there, the values there. I might have some lower end wide receivers, but if you have a top dollar running back that's just sitting on your bench, what's the difference? You're just gonna I'm gonna wheel and deal. We're gonna do some good trades. We're gonna get it there. I love where we ended up, so I have no regrets, no regrets.
And for those that don't know or don't remember, didn't watch the last episode, it's 2 quarterback league. So to get Aaron Rodgers with your first pick isn't a stretch.
I mean, he's every week starter for sure.
Every week starter on every team, so that's a good piece.
And with the salary cap drafts, players just kind of come up whenever. It's not like you're taking like Aaron Rodgers was the first pick, but that's just who was nominated. It's not like we're doing a snake draft and he just showed up and he was like, "Oh, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers."
Yeah.
Done.
So next goes Justin Jefferson, then Travis Kelce, then Jamar Chase for all relatively normal dollar values. A little inflated for all 3 of them, and then Nick Chubb, first running back nominated. I see Nick Chubb for $36, and I go, that is $20 less than historical league value. It's way under where I expected it to be for running back, arguably 3, maybe 4, 2, whatever you want to call them. And my strategy going in was 2 top-tier quarterbacks, allocate the rest to wide receiver, and I'll figure out running back later. I'll figure out tight end later. That was my strategy going in. Completely had to change it mid-draft 5 picks in. Because when you can get Nick Chubb, you get Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Especially for under your slotted dollar
For
value.
so much less than what I expected. So I had to switch that up, and we'll see where we got to. But
Especially when your pre-draft name was I will draft Nick Chubb.
I wanted Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, and I made that very well known with my team name just to throw off the scent. But my strategy was not to get Nick Chubb, and that's what ended up happening. Then we go kicker, obviously Justin Tucker, San Francisco. I grabbed them just because because I think Dulcich and Gabbana thought he could pull a fast one with $3. I go 4. Give me San Fran. That's my defense.
I would have been very happy to spend extra money on a defense with San Francisco just because that division is ungodly terrible. So that's just 6 games of high value.
Yeah, and I think defense is probably worth spending on. Probably not kicker, but that's nobody's here for kicker and defense talk.
Yeah.
We get down to Tyreek Hill, pick 9, and it was part of your strategy, right?
That was so coming into today. My plan was coming into it. I wanted to get Tyreek Hill, and I was willing to spend any amount of money. I mean, I think I've if I set a number, it was probably 45. So 46 was just okay. I was willing to do that. That's what Justin Jefferson went for. So those were the 2. Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill actually went for the same price. I was okay spending 46 for Tyreek Hill. I also wanted to end up with Lamar Jackson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I really wanted to kind of build my team.
Who went to
how
2
many
other
around those 3 guys, and I did not get those guys, and we'll see in a minute why that didn't happen.
Spoiler alert: one of them's on this couch and one of them's on that couch.
so if we keep going, right? So at 9, I got Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson, rookie running back, pretty unknown, goes for $38.
Now Tyreek Hill for 46. Were you comfortable with 46 as that dollar value? That's setting records for our league for wide receiver.
46, I believe, is what the top wide receiver went for last year as well. So that's like I in my mind, I think Tyreek Hill will be wide receiver 1.
That's what's interesting to me though about auction drafts is Justin Jefferson across leagues is probably notoriously the 1-1. Mm-hmm. He's the guy, and I don't think that Tyreek being usual pick 6 or so is that much of a different value in 1 through 6, but to see him being the same exact price as the 1-1 in snake drafts, that's what makes the auction drafts interesting. Is it's like you're evaluating your own guys. It's like you can. Depending on when things come up, things can change.
Does it at all make you do you regret spending 46 when you could have had McCaffrey for 41, $5 less, running back 1 overall?
No. The only thing is that I look at is maybe Jamar Chase went for 41, so it's like, could I have gotten Jamar Chase for 42 instead of Tyreek Hill? I really just wanted to get one of these top 3 guys in Jefferson, Chase, Hill. But I'm pretty sold on Hill, and maybe part of it is I'm not actually a Dolphins fan like you guys are, but I know when I come over and watch football with you, we always watch the Dolphins, and so we're not putting up,
gives you somebody to
right.
root for.
We're turning off red zone when the Dolphins are on.
You're paying for happiness so that you can have something to do while we watch the Dolphins.
Well, it's like when Tyreek Hill scores, I know you guys are happy, so it's like in the back of my mind, subconsciously, it's like. You guys are low key rooting for my team.
So you have FOMO, and so that's why
you want to be liked.
Killer FOMO. Yes, I just need to be liked.
Yeah,
but then we get into the interesting portion. We've got this Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Pollard range where Bijan and Tony Pollard both went for $38, and Christian McCaffrey went for 41. And this is where it's like everybody. You've got a 12-team league. Everybody's going to value people differently, and that's why maybe. Some of these guys went for more or less than they maybe should have.
Robo got McCaffrey. You got to feel pretty good about 41 for McCaffrey.
I look at that, and I look at those numbers, and I say, yeah, give me running back 1 preseason rankings, obviously.
Sure.
Give me running back
For $3
one
more.
for $3 more over 2 second-tier running backs. Absolutely.
And historically in our league, running backs had gone for upper $50s, $60. So you're looking at a $20 discount from historic value.
Yeah, and in the back of my mind, I'm looking at it as last year I bid $52 or something ridiculous on Dalvin Cook.
Did that blow your strategy? Was this was not your strategy going in?
This is not where my strategy was blown. Not yet.
Okay, so
because
you're good with it.
I had 2 different strategies coming into the draft. So my first strategy was if I end up bidding on a running back, a top tier running back, get 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I ended up executing that portion of the plan. My other strategy was, okay, if McCaffrey goes for, what he historically goes for in the upper 50s, mid 50s, that range, okay, I'm going to abandon that, and I'm going after 2 top-end quarterbacks and getting solid second-tier wide receivers.
Okay.
And then I was going to figure out running back on the back end because, running backs, like we were talking the other day, Raheem Mostert, who's going to be the starter in Miami. And, again, it might be a Dolphins bias, but he is a starter, went for $1.
And he's on my team.
So after McCaffrey comes Pollard,
I'll trade him to you.
You go for Pollard. That's not your strategy. Why did you do it?
This is where my strategy gets thrown off because I did have Pollard at one point was part of my strategy. Where I think at one point my strategy was Hill and Pollard, and I was gonna go. I'm saying I'm getting those 2 guys, and then I kind of pumped the brake and thinking that okay, like Lamar, because typically it's like the running backs go for so much. So I was like Hill and Pollard might not be able to go. And then once I saw that running backs were going for so much less, I kind of flipped the script and said, okay, well, let me take Pollard and maybe I can still get Lamar. But then what we'll see here coming up is quarterbacks went for a lot this year.
So what you're saying is you panicked and you just grabbed Pollard because you didn't know what you were doing.
Well, I wouldn't call it a panic. I mean, I do expect Pollard. I mean, I do expect Pollard to return great value. I mean, he was, I think we were talking about the other day, he was RB7 last year as a backup.
Do you feel like 38 in this draft, in this context, after Bijan goes for 38 and McCaffrey goes for 41 is not good value for Pollard? Or are you still like
No. I think it's good value. I mean, I think he's if RB1 goes for 41, I mean, I would consider Pollard. I mean, if he's RB7 as a backup, right? I would expect him to get more carries this year and be in the top 5. So if RB1 is going for 41 and RB4 is going for 38, I'm not
So then we move on. We get Devontae Adams for 33, Diggs for 39. Keep going down.
Hold on. Can we talk about that Geno Smith for $17 right there?
Yeah.
I think Sturmer does a great job early in drafts.
He's really good.
He nominates the guy that he wants, knowing that everybody else is going for these high dollar. He's not looking for the tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
He'll bid on him, and if he gets him, great. He has a number. But he'll throw up a Geno Smith, who I guarantee you is a guy that was on his board for, he's like, I'm willing to go up to $20, $25 for him. He gets him for 17. He gets him undervalued because everybody else is looking at who's left out there, and they're like, well, I got to save my money for Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. None of them have gone yet.
It's a good strategy. It's kind of that. It's not an anti-strategy. It's just knowing where you want all of your money to go, and then just putting your nominations into the portions where you're okay with getting that mid-tier guy.
It's okay. But he finished the draft with $10 extra.
Why
not get a $27 quarterback?
No. I agree. I was just
that just means he didn't finish the process.
Yeah, I'm just saying off the rip, he does a good job early in the draft of getting a guy like Geno Smith, who, if Geno Smith comes up later in the draft after quarterbacks are leaking off of the board, and you're like, oh my God, I cannot start 2 tier 3 quarterbacks. He's already got Geno Smith for under that slotted value.
Historically, he does draft very well.
I do agree.
We'll give him some credit.
I do agree. Every year I look at his roster at the end of the draft and I go, that's a solid. I mean, he doesn't always win the league, obviously, but every year I look at his roster after the draft and I go, that's pretty solid.
But then we get down here, we get to Devontae Adams 33, Joe Burrow 32, which is
it's actually good value.
A lot lower
than
than some other stuff. But you got Josh Allen goes 49, which at the time this happened was the highest a quarterback's ever gone in our draft. Diggs at 39, Eckler at 39, Derrick Henry at 40. That's where Trey lost his Derrick Henry bid to me.
Which was the second most expensive running back in the draft? Derrick Henry.
Derrick
the
Henry's
boss is
second-
the boss.
Second most expensive running back.
Yeah.
The
So
boss
now
is
you've
the
had
boss,
who-
man.
and who
And
was your
technically,
first
if you
pick,
look
Cardo?
at tier rankings, Derrick Henry's that first guy in the tier 2 ranking.
Right.
I still think he's a tier 1 running back.
So I would have
for
liked
sure.
Henry, but 40 was a little,
But all
was a
these
stretch.
guys, you've got granted, you could say what you want. Chubb at 37, Pollard at 38, Eckler at 39, Henry at 40. They're all right there. They're within $2 or $3. You could say, sure, you can say you got a better guy for a couple dollars less, but more or less they're all the same. Then you get the first big steal right here. You go into the bottom tiers. You get a Deontay Johnson for $9.
This in my eyes, this really helped me drastically. Deontay Johnson, I was pretty high on. He scored no touchdowns last year, but I think he's going to score touchdowns this year. I would hope.
I love this guy. He hasn't scored a touchdown in 380 days.
He didn't score a touchdown last year, but he's going to regress back to that. There's going to be a little bit of positive regression there.
But then you get into your big question mark of the draft. Cooper Kupp, $24. What do we think about that?
We're just
that
going to pass right over
hamstring-
Saquon for 34.
Saquon is Saquon.
Saquon at 34. You happy about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Moving on.
Okay, great. Moving on.
Okay,
Thanks.
next.
Moving on.
Next.
That's all you wanted to say?
Cooper Kupp at 24 is, I think
it's about right.
the way that receivers were going, you kind of want to get him. He was a top 5 guy about 2 weeks ago. Now you
Like 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Now you go, let's move him down the board. So you get him for 24, which feels great if he's a top 5 guy. If he doesn't play, you're really behind.
But how long?
Yeah.
If he doesn't play for 1 week and plays the rest of the season, you're like, for $24, that's a freaking steal.
Well,
But if he doesn't play for 4 weeks, now you're like, oh god.
The problem is it's a hamstring with a re-aggravated hamstring. That's
On a team that wants to trade him.
tough. That
It's-
you're
Yeah.
looking
It's risky.
at
It can definitely pay off, but for $24
On a team that's looking to ship out.
you would have
basically everything.
expected
Yeah.
for $24 that you could have gotten a Chris Olave or somebody like that who's not
Garrett
as good.
Wilson, yeah.
Like you could have expected to get that, and you chose to go Cooper Kupp,
Yeah.
which is extremely risky for this early in the draft. But hey, we'll see if it pays off.
But then,
that's an interesting one to watch.
So then we've got, Ramondre 22. That seems, about right. One of the, like I said, running backs went a little bit lower money wise this draft. And then Justin Herbert went for 37. That was me. I was not planning on it, but I thought that was a pretty damn good value for Justin Herbert on a pretty volatile offense. But here's one of the biggest shocks of the draft. Jalen Hurts went for $1 more than Patrick Mahomes. How do we feel about that?
Well, not to mention they both went in the 50s, which is like no quarterback's ever
51
gone in
and
the 50s.
So here- so here- let's talk
I
about
agree
this.
with Jalen Hurts going for more money than Pat Mahomes. And
This year,
you
yeah.
can run the tape back. I even said I will not bid on Pat Mahomes. I am out on Pat Mahomes this year.
yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts is the guy.
So
I agree.
I think I've been on Pat
and I-
Mahomes when he was $3.
I
I
That was
held
it.
true. I didn't bid not $1 on Pat Mahomes.
I put Hurts and Mahomes in my personal tier 1. I put Josh Allen in my 1.5, whatever you want to call it. I put Lamar Jackson in my 1.75. And then I go, everybody else, let's figure it out later. Those 4 guys are kind of up there, but Hurts and Mahomes are in a category in and of themselves. Our league is a 2-quarterback league. So anybody that knows a 2-quarterback league, right, is going to say that the most important position to get is a quarterback. So historically, when running backs were going for the number $1 value, it didn't make sense. There was no logic there. And then everybody's over the years we've seen that people have started to figure it out more and more, and the running backs are going for less and less, and the quarterbacks are going for more, and the receivers are going for more. So for me to say, if we were just doing a standard draft and I took Jalen Hurts with the number 1 overall pick, I'd be like, I'm fine with that.
Agreed.
And that was my thought process going in was I'm going to get Hurts and Mahomes. The reason I didn't go for Mahomes is because I already had Chubb. So I couldn't get Mahomes and Hurts, which I would have done for $100, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I would have spent the $50 on Mahomes. I would have had no problem, and I'd be sitting here with 2 of the top 2 quarterbacks.
yeah,
And I'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah, and I think like looking back at it now, like when you're talking about that strategy, is you would have probably been happier with your team had you gone Hurts and Mahomes and not taken Chubb, knowing that running backs weren't going for the dollar value that they had been in the past.
Well, I actually say that again.
So running backs weren't going as historically high. So you thought you got an absolute steal on Chubb, where like
every quarterback-
that was
every
just
running back went
every
discounted.
running back was just going in that range no matter what.
Well, here's what my thing. I was planning on spending 100 on quarterbacks, but I was thinking that everybody else was going to spend 50 to 100 on
running backs.
but they weren't.
Yeah.
So I couldn't spend 100 on my 2 quarterbacks because everyone else would out because I was spending more than historic, and everyone else is getting running backs at a steal. So I'd be at a disadvantage with every other position. So I had to pivot, or else I would have had 13 less dollars.
Yeah.
Instead of having Chubb and Hurts, I would have had Mahomes and Hurts and 13 less dollars. I knew as soon as I saw running backs going like this, like I have to get Chubb at 37.
Yeah.
Because if he's going for 37, that means, Boss is going to go for less. I figured everybody else is going to go for less because Chubb was, a top 3 guy. So I had to pivot off of it. But my plan going in was I was ready to spend $50 on Hurts, knowing that that's how that's the direction that the draft was going. So it was very, very interesting at this point because now I'm sitting on 80, what is this, $88?
87, yeah, 88.
$88 in 2 players, and then I take a break. So I'll talk to you guys later. In about 10 minutes, I'll talk to you because I took a break for a while.
And
So
then,
so looking at that strategy though, would you have been happier had you had Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes for 100, and then instead of Chubb you get a Joe Mixon for 23?
If I could have, I wouldn't have gone running back. So
Oh, you would have just gone straight to
I
a
would
receiver.
have. If I would have done that, I would have taken 2 low tier running backs. I would have been targeting the Alexander Madisons of the world and the Brees Halls of the world and the
Khalil Herbert.
Dalvin Cooks of the world, who I ended up nabbing. Spoiler alert. That's who I would have targeted for 2 of my running backs and tried to spend a total of maybe $10, $15 on them. And then I would have sunk the rest into my receiving core, which already I couldn't have done because every receiver was going for more than I wanted to. I
Yeah.
wanted to grab, Amari Cooper and who's the second dude in Philly? Devonta Smith. I wanted to grab those guys for like $19, and there was no way I was going to get them. So I'm happy at this point. I'm okay where I'm at right here in the draft. I'm sitting happy. I just know that I have to sit and chill until the rest of the draft comes to me and I can grab some steals later, which I think I ended up filling out my roster nicely.
right. So let's make our way down this list. We've got T. Higgins, 23, Mike Williams, 14. You get your Lamar Jackson, $48. That's, he's in that top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Jacobs,
that's
26.
That's kind of where my draft went a little sideways, though, is because I told myself I'm going to go 2 top end running backs and figure out quarterbacks. Once I made that switch, once I said, "Hey, this is the strategy I'm going with," I already had McCaffrey and Saquon on my team, and then I also went out and spent a bunch of money on Lamar.
And I tried. I think I was the $47 bid on before that, and I was like hesitant because I wanted to keep with my strategy coming into it, which was get Hill, get Lamar, get Amon-Ra. But at 47, after getting Pollard for 38, I think I was like, oh man, like 47, that would drop me. That'd be like, I'd be in for $130. I'd have 70 bucks to play with 15 guys left to draft. I was like, that'd be tough.
Yeah,
So-
like that kind of screwed me a little bit where I was now drafting based off of 2 different draft strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little mixy.
But see, this is where let's get down in here. Then we start getting into. I already had the boss and who was my Ramondre at this point, and then I see Najee come up at $22, and yeah, he had a bad year last year.
Everyone keeps saying that. At the end of the year, he was fine.
I think it was
That's the
top,
thing.
like,
It's like,
Yeah,
I saw that value and I was just like I said, I was just going for value guys no matter where because I knew I was going for guys that I could flip. So this is where I took Najee as my 3rd. So that's a guy that I'll probably be moving at some point. And then
8 picks later.
we go down here, Jonathan Taylor, the biggest wild card of the draft, $8.
Do you feel happy with that, or do you think you could have used the $8?
Oh no! I'm ecstatic about it.
All right, we'll clip it. We'll check
Unless
it.
he doesn't-
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
unless he doesn't play,
I'm
like,
ecstatic about it because I ended up having up plenty of money to. I don't think that $8 is going to change the back end of my draft, where I'm looking at bench guys and wide receiver 3s and 4s. The wide receivers were going for so much money, I was better off just biting the bullet and finding maybe streamers or trading and stuff like that. Jonathan Taylor, after the first 4 weeks, if he starts playing and he just goes after it with reckless abandon and tries to find that contract he's looking for,
He's not playing.
Right. Now, I 100% agree with you. that if he starts playing in week 5 for $8, that's a steal.
you have to do it.
Yeah, and if Lamar Jackson runs for 1,500 yards and passes for 5,000, he's QB1 forever.
Yeah, for
So-
$48.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, right. Like you got the QB. If you get the QB1, you paid QB1 money for him. If he gets the RB1 for, I mean, he's not going to be RB1 missing 4 games. But like, how many? Like,
if
how
I
many
get the
games-
RB15 for $8,
Yeah, but the reality is,
how many games do you want to get out of Lamar?
the reality
out of
is that
him?
that's your 4th running back. You now are in a situation where you have to trade. Now, our league
Yes.
is conducive to that. So it's not saying that you can't win, but you're now behind the 8 ball, so to speak, the first 4 weeks, unless you can turn that player into assets that help you win now. And if you go 0-4 to start, you might miss the playoffs because everybody knows every win in our league is
Yeah.
extremely hard to come by. Bye weeks create insane matchup problems. This is a player that $8 is great value for somebody who maybe they get one of those guys and 2 guys for $5 and they go, I'm just banking on Jonathan Taylor to come back and I'm going to have 2 guys go in. But a lot of money's tied up in your running backs, which you'll see the end result is your wide receivers have a lot of
Holes.
So let's go a little
Lot
bit.
of
Let's go a
missing
little bit
fingers
further
against
down
Swiss
here.
cheese wide receiver.
Let's go a little bit further down here before we end up getting into the complete ass end of it. You know, you've got Justin Fields 31. That seems a little bit high. I mean, it's okay.
quarterbacks are needed. Justin Fields was the last of that top tranche.
Yeah.
Justin Fields 31, Trevor Lawrence 30.
I was
22.
really close to going in on Justin Fields too, and just using ragtag wide receivers.
Just having those 2 rushing quarterbacks.
Yeah, 2 rushing quarterbacks with potential to throw for some touchdowns, run for some touchdowns, potentially have a 300-yard passing game for some bonus points. Like I was very, very close to going all in on Justin Fields as his name popped up.
Yeah. I think Deshaun Watson at 24 is a pretty good value there. DuPont, Tyler DuPont, guy in our league, he does a great job of just always being patient and getting a guy like just at the right number. I think he did a great job with that and a couple other picks. Let's keep scrolling down here. Let's see what any other things that stand out to us. Amon St. Brown, baby. So I don't pick again till 61. Amon St. Brown's on the board. And who has no receivers? Me. Who has no receivers? Also on one of these couches, Ryan Roberson. And we look at each other and we go, one of us is getting Amon St. Brown. I do not care who it is. And I went, look, I didn't on my big board. I had him slotted at $28. I pushed it. I went to $31. I absolutely had to get a receiver that was in a top tier to either trade him or to shore up that receiver group, which again, just as a recall, we have 4 slotted receivers in our league that start, no flex. So it's very, very difficult. It's a very, very deep position, which is why these were going for a lot of money. 31's too high, especially when Olave, I think, went for $23 or $24. So
I think it was 24.
yeah, so it's not the end of the world. Amon could end up being a top 3-4 guy, but 31.
But like
Tough.
still, you look down a little farther, you got Debo going for 27 and then Waddle going for 31 right behind Amon-Ra. And like those guys are kind of all that same.
Yeah.
They're all in that same little tier area.
It
And
didn't
not
get
just-
any easier.
Yeah, like it's not like guys were coming like I think the next closest thing to like a steal is kind of that Keenan Allen for $17.
Yeah, baby, that's
Yeah.
me again. Let's
I think
keep talking about
that's
my
the
picks.
next pick that's like, hey, whoa, Keenan Allen $17. Here we go. Now wide receivers are kind of normalizing themselves back out with that dollar amount, and then immediately back-to-back picks. I'm freaking out because I still have no wide receivers at this point.
2020.
I go $20 on DeAndre Hopkins
Change
and
your
Amari Cooper.
Like I had
Change your
I
team
had
name to
Debo.
2020 Vision.
I had Debo, DeAndre Hopkins, and Amari Cooper all slotted for in the teens, and they went for 27, 20, and 20. And that just threw me for a loop because I really needed to grab a couple of those guys. Instead, I just blew it on Amon-Ra, so I'll figure it out later.
And this was even more of a reason. This is where I started to really double down on my strategy of just finding the value where I can find it, because it was obvious at this point that you were never getting a wide receiver for what valuation says they should be.
Yep.
For some reason this year, wide receivers were just going to be expensive as all hell. So I was like, you know what? Quarterbacks, tight ends, running backs, let's get it. And
yeah,
then
like, I'd be really interested to like rerun your guys' evaluations like next year, like going into it and see how much did the wide receiver tier overall get jacked up and like kind of out of line because of this year. So like,
Yeah.
what does the new mean become
Yeah.
for wide receivers?
Oh,
in the draft?
Inflation hit the wide receiver.
It's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be really interesting, and a lot of it is the hype train on wide receivers was pretty huge just in general. Other podcasts talking about wide receiver.
Well, not
Justin-
just that. Like, even if you look back at our league, the last 2 years, the person who won the league was Sam Darnold as a quarterback.
Yeah.
But had Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Stephon Diggs all on the same roster.
and that won't happen now.
Exactly.
So, in the other thing to mention is this is draft money. It all is fugazi. It doesn't matter. Later on, when people want running backs, they're going to come to one person, hypothetically. And if you can grab Deebo Samuel and a DeAndre Hopkins and an Amari Cooper in exchange for a Najee Harris because it's desperation time. Not saying that'll happen because it doesn't work out between you guys, but if you can do that, then you're getting the value that you otherwise could have gotten by just. If everything went normally, right? If Najee went for 30 and then those guys went for 15 and 15, you'd say that makes sense. Now it's all backwards.
And this is
sure.
this is not to forget about another strategy of our friend Nicky Miller, who's still here. He's not on camera, but he drafted 5 quarterbacks. So someone's going to be
Bold.
knocking at his doorstep. But even before we started this, we did the draft.
He's already traded 3
2
of them.
years ago.
Yeah.
He's already traded 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
Within an hour of the draft, 2 trades have been made, which is how our league goes. It's a pretty insane thing to play. So let's go down. Let's get to the top 100, and then we'll switch over, look at our roster, see where we ended up. Anthony Richardson, just a quick note. This was a prediction. I said 15. Robo said 20. Goes for 19.
yeah.
There you go.
I had a feeling just because of the Anthony Richardson hype, and we have Florida fans that play in this league. Like, they're fans of Florida. Like, he's not good.
He's not
good. He completed 50% of his passes
But
in
he's not a
college.
good passer.
Like,
He's a passer.
now he's playing Alabama every game.
Right.
Just under that. We were talking about Sturmer being a good value drafter. At pick 80, we go to David Montgomery for $3.
yeah.
That is not your sexy pick, but damn if that's not great value.
It's good, man.
Can we go to pick 83?
83. Let's talk about
Pick, yeah, let's talk about pick 83.
But let's talk about 83. Then let's move on to our rosters.
Yeah.
Pick 83. Darren Waller, New York Giants tight end for $23 to James Abatanozzi.
What
Yes,
was your
yes,
thought
yes.
process there?
I know before the draft I said it was Kelsey or none, but once I kind of did the Hill Pollard thing and then couldn't get Amon-Ra and Lamar, especially because I said I could have gone to the draft and said I'm going to get Hill and Jefferson, and I know I'm going to spend $90 for Hill and Jefferson, but I said Hill and Amon-Ra because I was thinking like, okay, maybe Hill for 40 to 45, Amon-Ra in the 20s. Amon-Ra went for over 30, so I'm actually glad that it didn't work out with that. So because I didn't get Lamar, because I didn't get Amon-Ra, I wanted to get 3 quarterbacks in that kind of mid-range tier. I only ended up with 2 in Goff and Daniel Jones. But because I didn't spend all that extra money on Lamar and Amon-Ra, I said, hey, you know what? Screw it. Let's get a tight end. I'm pretty high on Waller this year. I think he had a good preseason. I think he's a stud. I think if he stays healthy, I think he has tight end 1 upside.
Basically,
mark the tape. We'll revisit it in 6 weeks.
You told our tens of viewers that you were not drafting a tight end, no matter what.
We're just solidifying.
Let me just
that
stop for a second. I'm not going to apologize to Janie because she doesn't watch, but I know my mom watches. So, Mom, I'm sorry that I lied to you on TV, on YouTube. We're not even on TV. on YouTube.
Why did you go so hard after Waller? Didn't you say you read an article?
But you knew you liked Waller before the draft. You still said you're not going to draft one.
Yeah.
I know.
You panicked. All right.
Yeah, but I always
all right, so
always
let's
get
see.
burned
So-
by tight
So
ends.
hold on, before we move on. He said,
I read a thing one time where I saw a video.
Let's hear this.
It was either like a podcast or a video, or I read something,
Or an Onion article.
or maybe it was a fake article. Maybe one of you guys wrote it and sent it to me.
I looked this up.
Darren Waller got sent home, or they didn't let him dress out for practice one day because they wanted Daniel Jones to throw the ball to other people.
I fact checked this
And
couldn't find an article or anything anywhere of anybody saying any
maybe it
such
was
thing.
Maybe it was
so
on the Onion.
lied twice.
I'm gonna Google it now while we're doing this.
Okay, before you Google anything, let's go to your roster and see what this ended up creating for you.
You want to see my overall roster?
So let's look at your roster,
All right,
right?
let's
So we'll
see.
go to the league. We'll check out your roster, and
Oh
what
my,
we
the
want to
Tides.
see is
Let's talk
absolute.
about this for a second. I'm projected to be like the 4th highest point scorer, or 5th highest point scorer in the league this week. So that's like not that terrible of a draft.
Let's look at your team. We'll be the judges.
All right, let's look. So,
So going after, so changing your strategy from getting a wide receiver, changing your strategy from going for top quarterback, right? And then you go for a tight end. Let's see what this produces for you.
okay. So I end up with at quarterback, I've got Daniel Jones and Jared Goff. Solid, not great. I wish I had a third one of that because they're in that.
That also was a previous statement that you
Yeah.
made last episode, which was that you wanted 3
I wanted
quarterbacks
to
in
get
that
3.
tier 3.
Yeah, I wanted to get 3 and I didn't. Then I ended up at receiver, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk.
That's solid.
I with the 100-yard bonus in play, I think all 4 of those guys are, possible 100-yard receivers every week.
Can you scroll up? Is this projected points on the year for fantasy points for that column?
These are projected fantasy points for the entire year.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to double check. So we're saying that Christian Kirk's projected for 80 more than Deontay Johnson?
Yeah,
Can
I
you scroll
think
up and
that's-
just
I
double
think
check
that's
that?
low.
Can you just double check that that's what
Yeah,
it is?
it's fan points.
Scroll
for this.
up. Can you just
Scroll up to what?
stats? And don't go to last season. Yeah, go to this season.
What?
Sorry, go to
This
this
season?
season. Is there a
Oh,
projected?
that's
no,
not-
it hasn't
no.
started
Is there
yet.
there's no projected stats? Yeah, go up. Scroll up. There's a
Oh, projected stats.
Thank
Here
you.
we go.
yeah, can we do that?
This
Okay.
is week 1.
I just want to see the. I just want
This
to
is
see
what the
projections
projected score week
instead
one.
of last week. Okay.
I think that's what they scored last year, right?
That was last year.
Christian-
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So we're saying So Deontay Johnson's in there, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk. They're all kind of in that same realm. And then you get one Tyreek Hill
Yep.
to bolster it. Then you go down. You got Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders. Are you happy with Miles Sanders?
I'm not in love with Miles Sanders, which is why I ended up getting Alvin Kamara because I'll ride the Miles Sanders train.
Let's scroll down to that bench real
Wait,
quick.
wait,
Let's see how
wait,
that bench
wait.
ended up.
Before we get to that bench, let me just explain myself. I went with Miles Sanders. I have no idea what to expect. I mean,
You have no idea why you went with Miles Sanders.
You have no idea
no,
what you're
I
doing.
mean, I know why I went.
Both
with
of
him.
those
Yeah.
things. Both of those.
I have
things.
no idea what I'm doing.
I got him cheap. I think I got him for like $9.
Gee, I wonder
So,
why.
I did end up getting Alvin Kamara because when he comes back in 3 weeks, he'll take over that role, hopefully. But also once I got done with all my starters, filling out my starters, I only had dollar bids left, so I ended up taking just like the best guy available that I thought for $1. And after I was done drafting, I looked at my team and realized all of my bench players are running backs.
Geez, maybe it's because our league has only 2 running back spots. So all
maybe,
the running backs.
maybe it's because he realized what he did with Miles Sanders. He goes, "Oh God, let
So-
me hit on one of these."
So I ended up-
Please let Kenneth Gainwell be good.
I ended up with 6 running backs on my bench. So I actually am in the process
and I
right
thought
now.
that I drafted a lot of running backs.
I'm actually in the process right now of talking trade to get another receiver from my
I didn't
bench.
know Yahoo Fantasy would let you do that.
I drafted 8 running backs.
Yeah, that's a hell of a strategy.
So-
Okay, so you have that. So we get Darren Waller, Mike Gesicki, and then rounded out kicker defense.
Daniel Carlson and Dallas. defense.
We're happy there.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of the boat. I think Yahoo projects you to win 4 games, which is right on par with what we all expect. So yeah, right about
Well,
normal draft.
that's got to be because I am going to be out a wide receiver on all those bye weeks. So once obviously I'm going to have to trade some running backs, get some wide receivers.
Maybe a third quarterback.
That's down the road. I can get to that.
All right.
Brooks didn't have a quarterback after the draft. He was missing a
so
quarterback.
so why don't we go to mine since we're playing week 1?
we do play each other week 1. Let's see.
Yeah, you can just.
I could have done what?
You could have just hit the little drop down where it says Dolce and Gabbana.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll take
I
it
didn't
any
know
team.
that.
Yeah.
Dolce and
Scroll down.
Gabbana.
Scroll down.
It's real nice.
Scroll
of
down.
it. It's real
Scroll
nice
down.
of a
You're
trophy
already
next to
there.
his
You're
name.
already
Scroll
there.
down. What are
I
you
know,
doing?
but I was showing Robo the trophy next to his name.
Oh, right.
Oh, I didn't even
Anyways.
see it. I got the
All
money.
right, so I ended up with Aaron Rodgers
stats.
and Justin Herbert with my quarterbacks. I'm completely fine with that. Justin Herbert I think is going to have a great year. I don't like the hype. I don't think he's going to be as good as everybody thinks he's going to be, but I still think he's going to be fine.
Herbert projected for 28 points week 1 against Miami.
Yeah,
Not that
I
wow.
think Herbert's a little high. I think Rodgers is a little low. So I'm fine with that. And then we go to what is that?
I mean, 28 is a lot.
That's a very viable quarterback's room. What's wrong?
No. I'm not saying anything about his quarterback room, but saying Rodgers is projected low. He's playing against Buffalo. Like, it's a divisional game.
That's true.
That division
and 28,
is
and
incredibly hard.
28
I'll give you that.
I agree with that.
300 yards and
But
3
I think Rodgers is probably projected right about where he's going to be.
Overall,
That's
that quarterback room in our league is above average.
Plenty good. Yeah.
So then we go to the wide receivers, which is my. I got Brandon Cooks, who, a good talent, hasn't done anything for a while, but on Dallas, that's. Someone's got to catch the ball, right?
20% of teams in Yahoo are starting Brandon Cooks.
Dak Prescott's going to throw for 4,000 yards this year.
Then we've got Jahan Dotson, who I think is going to take over Washington. Everybody loves them some Scary Terry,
Jahan.
but I think Dotson could take over that with some Sam Howell action. It's possible.
Yeah,
I mean, Dotson was good last year at the end of the year, so
yeah. And then we got Mechie, who didn't play last year because he had his leukemia situation going on. But everybody forgets this guy was the fastest guy in damn near the world when he came out of college.
wasn't faster than Henry Ruggs.
Has he played?
Has
he played a football game?
That was rough.
Has Mechie played?
No, he really wasn't faster. Like, his 40 time was not faster than Henry Ruggs.
Okay.
Right, dude. Right. Has Mechie played a football game? Like,
no. He after
he has not suited up in the NFL yet.
Did he come out? Did he come out with it before the draft or after?
It was like during like training camp or something.
Yeah. So he was being treated for leukemia last year, but the guy has unbelievable
0% starting in Yahoo. Does that worry you?
No, because
you're projected for 3 points.
They're gonna email you and go, "You're the only person with him in your starting lineup." Does that worry you?
Okay,
like,
well then
Marvin Mims is being started in 1%.
That's him. He's the 1%.
Okay, so then we've got number 4. We've got Mims, who I also will find out later, but I also took Jerry Jeudy because he got unreal value, but he's obviously not playing for a few weeks.
If there's a diehard fantasy football person listening, I doubt there is. But if there is, and they hear Brandon Cooks, Jahan Dotson, John Mechie, Marvin Mims, they're gonna go, "You ain't winning
in a 4 wide receiver league."
But let's continue because it does get better.
Then we've got at running back, we've got Derrick Henry and Ramondre Stevenson. I think that's a phenomenal running back core right there. And then you've got tight ends Dolchich for Denver and Okonkwo from Tennessee. Coming off of his rookie season,
those are viable tight ends in a 2 tight end league, like 100%. If you don't get one of the top, the top like 4 guys, everybody else is the same.
In our league, if your tight end scores more than 0,
you're
like
league.
Pretty happy.
Yeah. Those are viable stuff.
Because there's plenty of tight ends that score no points.
Let's take a quick look at the bench.
This is where me and Abs' team come in similar situations. I've got Jeudy, who is not going to be playing for a while. That's why I ended up with Mims. But then I've got Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor and Tank Bigsby as my 3rd, 4th, and 5th running backs.
Trade bait.
The difference is I've got good running backs, and he just picked people for $1.
Raheem Mostert is good if he doesn't get hurt.
And then I've got backup tight end Hunter Henry. He'll play 1 week.
Kyle Trask, shot in the dark.
Yeah, shot in the dark.
Kicker defense, quick, wrap it up.
Kicker defense, McManus has got a boot, and New York defense, Sauce Gardner. Let's get it.
Jags homer.
Hey,
Jags homer.
I don't think there's anything wrong with those kicker defense. I think we're good there. Nothing crazy.
I agree. I think that's a pretty decent roster.
Let's go with Trey. We didn't do this on purpose, but we're just going to go in reverse order finish from last year. Trey finished in 2nd.
Let's do that.
I finished in 11th. I think on the podcast last week we said Cardwell finished in 3rd. He finished in 6th.
He finished the regular season 3rd, and then he proceeded to
go 2 in a barbecue in the playoffs.
Mollywop.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, Trey. Let's look at your roster. We want projected stats.
There we go.
All
right, so Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy. I'm high on Brock Purdy. I'm very high on Jalen Hurts. I am very happy with the QB room. If I can improve Brock Purdy, I will. I'll look to do that if I can, but honestly, in a 2-quarterback league, starting him, he's coming up. The reason he's so low on most draft boards is because he has an elbow that he's coming back from.
Yeah.
If he wasn't coming back from that elbow, he finished the season on an absolute tear.
Yeah, absolute heater at the end.
I mean, he was on an absolute heater. So I'm good with Brock Purdy. I just gotta be patient and make sure I can, if I have to do something, not panic and get a better quarterback. But I'm okay with Purdy. Let me just wait it out and see how it goes. Then I get into wide receiver. we talked about how I panicked. I got him on her. That's a top 10 guy. I'm happy with getting him as a wide receiver 1. Scary Terry, you say it's Dotson. I say it's Scary Terry. We'll see who's right at the end of the season. Scary Terry has a turf toe, I believe, is what his injury is. But yeah, he's had absolute flashes of brilliance, so we'll see. Cortland Sutton, I grabbed him because you go Judy, I go Sutton, so I'm trying to get the better of the half on all those receivers. And then Treylon Burks, I think you went Hopkins. I go Burks because that's all I could afford at the time. And I had Burks last year, and he's extremely frustrating, but had some flashes. 8% starting in Yahoo. It'd be a miracle if he turns it on and starts burning, but we'll see. I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed there. But all in all, like I'm not like despising my wide receiver core, but it could be better. Bad. It could be better. I grabbed a couple guys on my bench that I think are potential guys that could fill in and do some things, but it's okay. Running back, Nick Chubb, I'm very happy with. Dalvin Cook, I'm not happy with, but is a guy that is going to be able to, I think, stream for 3 weeks, and then I'll have to figure it out.
If this was 2 years ago, best running back core in the league.
It's pretty good if I got it last year.
Last year?
It's not.
Last year.
It's not.
Last year. It was pretty
It's not
solid.
2 years ago.
That's a winning formula.
Yeah, so I like Dalvin for a couple of weeks. They're paying him $7 million to do something. And a guy coming off of an ACL, you don't know what's going to happen there. And if something did happen to Breece Hall, or if Breece Hall has a slow recovery or a slow ramp back up, or they want to load manage him,
or Dalvin's riding a hot hand,
or Dalvin's the hot hand, I'm very happy for the value that I'm getting there. And then I go into tight end, where I am usually a person that likes to solidify my tight ends. These 2 tight ends were on my team every single game last year. I did not trade them
every year.
And I got Kittle and Goddard. I know Kittle's injured. He's got a groin. I don't love it. When he gets the groin, he's out every other week. But when he is playing, he's a touchdown machine. He has been with Purdy. So I'm going to play that 1-2 punch, and then I'm going to play the Hurts Goddard 1-2 punch. So every touchdown to one of those guys, I am jumping for joy. So those tight ends probably is the best duo in the league. I can't think of a better one off the top of my head. I can't think of a better one off the top of my head. I think
Waller and Gesicki.
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that's better than that. And then we go to my bench. I grab Odell Beckham, flyer on him. Gibson, I don't love it because I could have had Brian Robinson for $1. I got Gibson for $2. A.J. Dillon, I'm taking a streamer on him. Just guessing that he's going to take over that backfield at some point. Every year, I think the same thing. Josh Dobbs, a couple weeks in case Purdy, I need him in case Purdy can't make it or something, or he has a setback. Mingo, I take a flyer on a rookie receiver. Taysom Hill was tight end 3 last year, I believe. And grab him for $1. That's a win in my book. And then scroll down. Bam, that's my kicker of choice. Bam, that's my defensive choice. Tyler Bass, San Fran.
Solid.
Real quick, something I just noticed. I did not notice this during the draft, but Taysom Hill only has the tight end.
Yes, he's not a quarterback.
You can't put him in your quarterback
He's
slot.
no longer.
Interesting. I mean, it didn't really benefit you that way. It benefited you more when he's playing quarterback and you put him in your tight end slot.
And I think in ESPN he's actually still listed as both.
Interesting.
Either way,
all right,
I need him as a tight end.
So let's rock over to Robo, and then we can get some projections for the year and finish this thing up.
All right.
All right. Yeah. So quarterback room, I got obviously Lamar Jackson, who is arguably one of those top tier quarterbacks.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me change this. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's do projected. There we go. Yeah. So, Lamar Jackson, everybody knows Lamar's Lamar kind of thing. He's a guy that, as we get deeper into the season, I'm probably going to look to move him to solidify some other positions.
I'll take him.
Kenny Pickett was a
Desperation.
A frantic desperation pickup at the end of the draft because there was nobody else out there.
Which is hilarious because I like Kenny Pickett. I had him on my team last year.
I don't
Kenny Pickett.
I don't hate Kenny Pickett by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I think he's a viable starting quarterback all year. Not a guy that you're worried about him losing his job potentially.
Yeah. Like,
he's the guy. So I round my quarterbacks out with those two. Wide receivers, if this team was 5 years ago, I'm looking real good, boys.
Yeah, that's a 5 year. That's a 5 year team.
So again,
throw Ocho Cinco in there, and you are rolling.
Oh baby. So yeah, I got to a point, like Trey said earlier, we got to a point where we both looked at each other. Neither one of us had a wide receiver on our roster at the point, and everybody's like throwing all this crazy money out for these guys. DeAndre Hopkins comes up. I definitely overpaid for him. There's no doubt in my mind, but I needed somebody that DeAndre Hopkins, when he came back last year, was really good.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to catch balls. He's going to catch passes. Everyone's like, oh, well, what about with Tannehill and that offense?
Tannehill cannot throw him a fade touchdown. He can't do it.
But A.J. Brown was good when he was with the Titans,
Brown was
too.
good.
So like,
But I think
DeAndre
they.
I'm
Hopkins,
okay.
I think they.
DeAndre Hopkins is not prime AJ.
I think they score their points
no, I
differently
don't think,
too. Like,
yeah. So we got DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper. I'm actually really high on Amari Cooper. I still think I may have slightly overpaid for him, just because again the wide receivers were starting to get really thin. But I'm really high on Amari Cooper this year. Slant boy couldn't be higher on him.
love
I
me some Michael
saw
Thomas.
a video of Michael Thomas deadlifting 1,200 pounds.
Now it's 1,200.
It
Bro,
was
2 days ago you said it was 500.
it was insane when he was doing this deadlift. And then Juju was just kind of a snag at the last minute. Juju probably,
It's a name.
yeah, he's a name guy, but he's the number one in New England.
Number one in New England. I thought
Yeah,
they
he's the
said
number one in
Devontae-
New England, and Mac Jones is going to throw for 3,500 yards.
Somebody's
got
got
to
to catch him.
him.
You got that right.
Yeah,
Isn't Devontae
famous
Parker?
famous
Devontae
last
Parker's
words.
still in New England. Isn't
Then
he?
Yeah,
we go
Juju-
to the running
Juju's the number one
backs.
still.
That running
So-
back core is
Yeah, I think my running backs are
Ooh, best in the
second
league.
to none in the league. Like by far, I think I have the best two
Hold on.
running backs in
Can you-
Saquon
can
and
you not-
McCaffrey.
Can you not moan over him while he's talking?
Oh,
I like those. I'm getting boned up looking at this friggin' team.
So
Yeah.
I got McCaffrey, got Saquon, stuck with that portion of my strategy, which was, hey, get two top end running backs if that's the way I'm going to go, but also shelled out a lot of money for Lamar. So I was kind of in a situation where I wasn't even able to take wide receivers.
I think you salvaged receiver very well for how strong your running backs are, and
Yeah.
and the fact that you got a top tier quarterback along with it. So I think that that's a well rounded strategy. You might lose by 3 points a week because your tight end scores 0.
Yeah. My tight ends have a very, very, very big chance of scoring 0
I
points.
think anybody not in our league does not know who either of those people are.
Yeah, those are
Ferguson has a
that's
chance.
kind of what we talked about last week. Was like, if you go into any other league where you're starting one tight end and you ask that person, you ask anybody in that league, hey, can you name me 24 tight ends? If they say
Jake
yes,
Ferguson
I'll
and
promise
Cade
you they're not
Otton.
naming those two.
Let's be
Right.
clear. Jake Ferguson and Cade Otton are the tight ends. And if they did name 24, they wouldn't name Jake Ferguson and Cade Otton.
I literally just said
That's
that.
what he just said.
Like literally just said
Like you guys
that.
said you guys
as you were talking over me.
You two are arguing the exact same thing.
Zay Flowers is the receiver you get to replace Juju Smith-Schuster
Yeah, so
3
I
weeks in.
Yep,
I like
I got Zay. Zay will probably be. I think after week 1, he'll probably be my go-to guy. I'm actually looking to deal him right now. If anybody wants to make a deal,
I'll take him.
and then as the bench stuff starts going on, I snagged Tyler Algier on the off chance that Bijan Robinson isn't every down back. I'm like, hey, give me a guy that on a bye week I can fill in, maybe figure it out. Elijah Mitchell, I think
Handcuff.
I think that's probably the best handcuff you can have
Yeah.
in a run first offense like that. Like it's a great handcuff to have. Clayton Tune, I am playing the fact that
Dobbs sucks.
Well, Dobbs sucks, but also like Arizona's not trying to win this year. So like I'm playing the fact that they're going to try and ship Kyler Murray and they're going to play the guy that they just drafted.
Clayton Tune for sure will play this year
Yeah.
at some point.
So I
It's just, does he play when you need him to play?
exactly, and that was my only option for a third quarterback at the time. Was like, hey, give me this guy for $1. Let me see. I'll just let him sit on my bench for a few weeks and see what's going on. Mecole Hardman and Curtis Samuel were just dollar picks because I had to fill.
I don't hate
roster.
Curtis Samuel for the first
I
couple
don't.
weeks.
I don't like. I don't like Curtis Samuel. I don't hate Curtis Samuel. He's the same guy that he's always going to be.
Wrap it up on kicker defense. What we got?
Riley Patterson.
Yeah, I went Riley Patterson because he kicks indoors,
And
then
Dolphins D.
defense because I'm a homer, but I'm gonna probably stream defenses all year.
All right, real quick before we end, where do we see the four of us ending, top to bottom?
I'll finish first. Abs will finish 12th. You guys are 6 and 7. One makes the playoffs, one doesn't. That's my prediction.
Disagree.
Well, give me a prediction.
I think I'm going to make
think-
the playoffs.
I think we can all agree Abs is in 12th.
I think I'd make a few moves, and if they work out well, I'll be fighting for a podium spot.
I think at the end of the year I'm fighting for a podium. Because I think I can turn my assets that I paid a lot of money for in the draft.
I could
as long
definitely-
as they perform like high money draft picks, I can flip them for a lot of key pieces to really round out my
I
team.
could definitely see me and Robo playing in the semifinals, and then seeing what happens. One goes to
And me
one goes to the
smacking
finals,
that
one goes to the
ass.
third place game.
yeah, third place game.
I think I'm going to make the playoffs. That's all. Listen, at the end of the
Okay,
day,
let's wrap it up.
at the end of the day, I want to make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, you get lucky, win a couple of games, you're on the podium. I mean, just make the playoffs, baby. That's all I'm trying to do.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Trey got really lucky last year in the championship because we both had so many injuries that we were both just like, all right, dude, let's just split the money.
Boom.
So like I ended up winning.
Wow.
But like
Dude.
money wise,
But I really won
No, you didn't.
because I made more money.
You ended
and
up
you
making
made
more.
less.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you guys for keeping up with us and putting up with us for this 2-part fantasy football series. We'll be back to the Dadvice next episode, and it'll be Dadvice there out. We might do some fantasy football talk, but it'll be mostly Dadvice. So thanks again. Check out Phys Ed Jacks, and we're going to wrap it up until next week. So thanks a lot. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Slant boy $10.
Goodbye, daddies.
Peace.